While my wife, Duan Tu Lan, was out there getting insanely famous and sweeping up major medical awards, I was stuck just playing her shadow.
By day, I treated her patients for her. By night, I buried myself deep in the research. At the medical Nobel Prize ceremony, I got shoved into the darkest, most hidden corner of the room. You'd think they just made a seating mistake, right? But then I spotted my childhood best friend sitting right over in that exact same hidden corner. I figured I was just being overly sensitive, so I happily cheered my heart out for her from the crowd. But then, a photo of my best friend and my wife, their fingers tightly interlaced, skyrocketed to the top of the daily trending search. The whole internet went totally wild, completely moved by the deep, silent love this best friend supposedly had for my wife. Meanwhile, my wife honestly did not care about my feelings at all. She just coldly dropped the line, "You are only a private clinic, doctor." "It isn't convenient to reveal who you are right now," she said. Then she endlessly reshared all those related posts on Weibo. With tears in my eyes, I packed up all my research data, turned my back on her, and accepted help from her absolute worst rival. "Don't worry," the rival said. "The next Nobel Prize is definitely yours." Didn't Duan Tu Lan say that once she got famous, she would come home, have kids, and take care of the family with you? So why are you suddenly thinking about coming to me now?
I heard a fortune teller said your boy who passed away early would be reincarnated as your son again. If you switch over to work for me now, can you really bear to give up on that child?
I stared at that glaring trending news, my heart running completely cold. Yeah, I let go of all that a long time ago.
Duan Tu Lan had Kwaitia appeared right beside me at some point, staring at me with deep suspicion. What exactly did you let go of? I gave her a pretty indifferent glance, keeping my tone ice cold. I let go of Tilhui. Before I even finished speaking, her expression totally changed, lighting up with sheer joy. Honestly, you should have let it go a long time ago. I still need to focus heavily on medical research for a few more years, she told me. Qi Tianvu's company needs a spokesperson, so I can conveniently lend a hand. Hearing those exact words, I really couldn't help letting out a bitter laugh. Back in the day, Duan Tu Lan and I were just a totally normal, incredibly loving married couple, raising our little boy named Tilhui together. But because of her networking events, she locked our son inside the house alone. The boy got so hungry, he looked for food himself and tragically choked on a raisin, losing his life. I was absolutely devastated, refusing to eat or drink anything. Trying to comfort me, Duan Tu Lan actually brought in a fortune teller. The teller claimed my son couldn't bear to leave me and would definitely return to my side one day. Because of that, I agreed to Duan Tu Lan's promise. If I just helped her become world famous, she promised she would retire once she reached the very top of her career. She would come home and wait for our son to return with me. But now, she was just constantly breaking that old vow. A wave of heavy heat just choked up my chest, making me completely restless. My heart was aching in sharp, painful waves. Seeing my silence, she quickly pulled a document file straight out of her briefcase. "Since things are like this, you should just sign this paper right here." I stared down at the document, showing big, bold letters, a cancellation agreement. It was the exact same paper she had willingly signed years ago to give me peace of mind.
And now, she hadn't just forgotten all the deep love between us. She didn't even want to honor a simple written agreement anymore.
I just calmly looked up, right at her deeply familiar face. She looked the same, but somehow, something about her had completely shifted into a stranger. I gave a slight smile and decisively picked up the fountain pen. We had been married for years, after all, so she immediately noticed something was seriously off with me. She always knew our boy was my absolute entire world, yet here I was, totally ready to sign this cancellation agreement without a single second of hesitation. She snatched the pen right out of my hand, randomly asking why. I just felt this chaotic mess of frustration in my chest, so I grabbed another pen and signed my name. She froze. It took a long time to finally snap back to reality. "Lei Xuyen, don't worry. I definitely won't treat you poorly." I didn't say a single word back to her. I just gave a quiet nod. She walked away, hugging that document, and shortly after, a massive news headline dropped everywhere. Duan Tu Lan, the prestigious medical Nobel Prize winner, had officially become the new spokesperson for Tianqi Pharmaceutical Limited Company. Down in the comments, Everyone was cheering and celebrating together. Such a talented and gorgeous couple, someone wrote. I can't even imagine how smart their kids would be. Sister Duan wins awards non-stop, but still agreed to represent Tianqi Group. Don't blame me for overthinking this, but I totally have to start shipping these two right now. Barely 2 seconds later, Qi Tianvu's reply quickly shot up to claim the top spot. Thank you all so much for recognizing our Tianqi Group, he wrote. I think Ms. Duan has clearly seen the true strength of our Tianqi Group too. After all, Ms. Duan isn't the type of person who would bend over backwards just for a sushi dinner. His tone was full of joy, joking around without any intention of clearing up the misunderstanding. And the real kicker? He was my childhood best friend, practically growing up with me like a brother. When I got married, Qi Tianvu was the first to volunteer as my groomsman, and that was exactly how Duan Fulan and him originally met. And yet here they are, sneaking out for meals right behind my back. I narrow my eyes, glancing over at Duan Tulan. And right now, Duan Tulan, someone who is usually so sharp, does not even notice my stare at all. She is just completely glued to her screen, smiling in this incredibly gentle and soft way. That exact smile is a look I have not seen from her in years. A bitter, mocking smirk creeps right onto my face. Even with all her massive success, she still refuses to just settle down and actually build a real family with me. It is probably because of Kai Tianvu. Using work convenience as a cheap excuse, Duan Thulan packed her bags without a second thought and moved right next door to Kai Tianvu's company. Not just that, she flat out forbade me from ever randomly showing up at her new place. And she completely banned me from casually calling her personal phone. No sending any casual messages either. And if I actually achieved new research results, I had to book a formal appointment through her secretary just to see her. Before leaving, she made absolutely sure to justify herself over and over again, claiming that this whole move of hers was strictly for the sake of Kai Tianvu's company, my supposed best friend, and that she was only doing this for my own good. Duan Thulan even stripped away my absolute last right to show any hint of anger or dissatisfaction about it. After dropping all those strict rules, she just completely vanished into thin air. I could not find a single trace of her anywhere. Until much later, after skipping meals for days to work on my research, I suddenly passed out from a severe sugar crash and got rushed to the hospital by a kind stranger. That is when Duan Thulan finally called me. Lei Suyen, oh Lei Suyen, you are a grown man and yet you land yourself in the hospital over a sugar crash. Quite a talent you have there. Don Tulan's voice was so cold and mocking, it sent actual chills right down my spine. Just stay put in the hospital. I am out of town and have no time to visit you. I was not surprised by this totally expected outcome at all, so I just calmly replied with a simple, okay. But wait for this next part. The very next second, I hear a familiar guy's voice. Alan, come eat. The lobster is getting cold. Don Tulan did not even have the time to hang up the phone. I just heard a sudden loud noise, followed by her rushed footsteps slowly fading away into the distance. Lobster, I muttered softly to myself, smoothly opening up Duan Tulan's social media feed. It was the absolute only way I could keep up with her now. Right in my face was a photo of her and Kai Tianvu together in Maldives. I am someone who genuinely loves traveling all over the place. Back in the day, I begged her countless times to go on trips with me, but she always had some excuse ready to reject me. Lei Suyen, with work this insanely busy, how do you even have the mind to play around? How old are you anyway? Can you not act a little more mature? I quietly hung up, switched my phone to airplane mode, and just tossed it aside. By the time I got back to the clinic, it was already 3 a.m. Exhausted, I flicked on the office lights, only to find my entire desk completely buried under all kinds of patient medical records. Among these files, there was certainly no shortage of just basic, ordinary headache cases. The staff working under her did not respect me in the slightest either. Maybe in their eyes, I was exactly just like them. Simply someone hired by Duan Thulan to do a job. Someone she constantly used as her own personal punching bag. To them, my status in this place was probably even lower than theirs, so all the dirty, heavy lifting naturally fell entirely on my shoulders. I slowly pulled open my drawer and took out all the little handmade crafts my son had left behind.
carefully placed them into a cardboard box, and planned to take them all away.
If I had only known earlier that my son and I mattered so incredibly little in her heart.
I never would have brought these things here just to humiliate myself. Pushing down the heavy sorrow, I hugged the box and walked out of the clinic, step by step.
Suddenly, a familiar car speeds right toward me. It is Don Tulan.
She storms out of the car, looking furious, but the fresh hickey on her neck is blindingly obvious. Why do you treat me like I am so unimportant? You could not even bother to give me a single phone call? You really have nothing left to say, huh? I replied coldly, hugging my cardboard box and trying to just step around her, but unexpectedly, she grabbed onto me tight.
Are you trying to show off your attitude to me? I asked why you did not call.
Looking at Dong Tulan's face, totally twisted in anger, I just found it absolutely hilarious. The very person who strictly banned me from calling her was her, and the person currently throwing a massive fit because I did not call is also her. Seriously, can you make any sense of this woman? I just cannot understand her anymore. Li Suyen, I think you know I absolutely hate petty people. You are not purposely trying to piss me off, are you?
Don Tulan shot me a careless glare, and when I was not paying attention, she suddenly smacked the cardboard box in my arms as hard as she could.
The flimsy cardboard box could not take the hit at all. It visibly caved right inward, and Don Tulan's hand punched straight through into the fragile contents inside of it.
A sickening crunch of shattered ceramics rang out, immediately followed by Don Tulan cursing in pain.
What is this garbage? Why put this in a box? You injured my hand. How am I supposed to advance my career now?
My hands trembled as I opened the box, only to see the handmade crafts inside completely smashed from the heavy impact, just like whatever feelings were left between us.
Our son, the only real emotional bond tying us together, was already gone forever. And now, the absolute last precious keepsake he left behind for us was destroyed by Don Tulan's own hands.
I silently stared at the broken pieces filling the box, then just walked away. I picked up my phone and called my divorce lawyer. Since Don Tulan refused to let me call or even text her, I went ahead and had my lawyer send the electronic divorce agreement straight over to her instead. Believe it or not, less than a minute after the agreement was sent out, Don Tulan actually signed it.
Right after that, I actually got a call from Don Tulan. She tells me the driver is coming, and I need to head over and help out at Ki Thian Vu's company.
I was just totally confused hearing that. Ki Thian Vu's company has professional pharmaceutical staff, so why on earth would they even need my help? Before I could even react to that, Ki Thian Vu actually answered the question for me. He tells Alon, "Thank you so much."
He says if she hadn't stepped in to help just in time, he would have regretted it forever. Don Tulan had forgotten to hang up the phone again. On the other end of the line, I heard the whole story loud and clear. I've been annoyed lately, and this guy just walked right into his own grave.
I let my emotions take over and just fired him without even thinking it through. Even though Ki Thian Vu claimed he was feeling sorry, his tone didn't have a single drop of regret. He actually sounded super thrilled. Don Tulan burst into this really harsh laugh, completely amused by his words. She calls him a literal child, despite being so grown up. After saying that, they both burst out laughing together. That endless pampering Don Tulan showed Ki Thian Vu only made me feel incredibly cold and totally alienated. But looking right at that divorce agreement, it honestly seemed like everything was completely explained. When I finally arrived at Ki Thian Vu's company, I was greeted by the loud whispers of all the coworkers. Isn't this supposed to be our senior? Why is he coming to our company? What kind of senior is he anyway? It's been years and he hasn't produced a single research result. Thanks to our kind boss, he somehow managed to cling to her side for so long. Don Tulan immediately shot me this worried look. Seeing my face stay totally normal, she just quickly changed the subject with some random stories. While I was getting used to the work process, Don Tulan and Ki Thian Vu stayed glued together, their words turning even more intimate. I was obviously the one actually helping Ki Thian Vu out, but he just treated me like Don Tulan's property, completely failing to offer me a single word of thanks. The staff definitely noticed their little intimate situation too, and they started teasing them right away by making up some joking excuses. Our boss isn't married yet, right? But since our director Kai looks so incredibly good with her, are they planning to tie the knot anytime soon?
Duan Tulan's face showed pure worry as she glanced over at me.
But pay attention to this exact moment. The very next second, I casually mention that it's happening soon, and I'll treat everyone to wedding candy. The staff cheered loudly, while Duan Tulan's face went completely pale.
Once the employees scattered, Duan Tulan quickly pulled me aside. She told me not to overthink it, since they were just playing along. I didn't say a word back. They were definitely playing along, but what I said was the honest truth.
Duan Tulan already signed the divorce agreement, so we weren't husband and wife anymore. She went to the restroom, instantly leaving just me and Kai Thien-Vu completely alone in the lab.
The second she walked out, Kai Thien-Vu dropped his whole act, looking down at me from his high horse. Lee Swin, you didn't expect this, right? You were better than me at everything since childhood, so I bet you never imagined a day like this would come. I just adjusted the lab equipment right in front of me and coldly offered him my congratulations. Those words only managed to piss Kai Thien-Vu off even more.
He aggressively grabbed me away from the lab equipment, eyeing me down from head to toe. He asks why Alan's husband is dressed so shabbily. He claims it's lucky she hasn't publicly announced my identity yet. Otherwise, who knows how badly all the other competitors would laugh at us.
I just stared at Kai Thien-Vu.
That noble aura radiating from his entire body just proved he was a much better choice for Duan Tulan. My self-esteem took a pretty deep hit right there.
I quickly grabbed my things to run away, but unexpectedly bumped right into Duan Tulan at the door.
She asks why I look so terrible and tells me to wait so she can take me home. Before I could even refuse, Kai Thien-Vu suddenly let out this incredibly exaggerated yell. He was holding the exact piece of lab equipment I had just finished adjusting. Now watch this ridiculous setup unfold. He starts screaming about who dared touch his equipment without permission, bragging that it's a German import and claiming it's completely broken now. As soon as he said that, everyone in the room tensed up, frantically shouting out their own alibis to avoid taking the blame.
Kai Thien-Vu didn't even seem to listen to them. He just kept muttering that this was a high-end device he bought from abroad for 50 million yuan, so it couldn't just break like that.
I told him straight up, whether his gear broke or not had nothing to do with me. I just wanted to leave right now. But the moment I turned around, I heard Kai Thien-Vu calling out from behind me. He says he clearly remembers me being the last person to leave the lab. I just shot him a cold glare. That equipment definitely passed through my hands, but I know full well if it was broken or not. I'm busy and have zero time to play his little games. Seeing I wasn't backing down, Kai Thien-Vu immediately grew anxious and grabbed me tight. Right, while we were busy struggling, his private secretary suddenly rushed over and projected some security footage onto the big screen. The clip showed the exact moment Kai Thien-Vu and I were having our little chat. But the camera conveniently muted our conversation, only showing the footage of me constantly adjusting that piece of equipment. I stare at Kai Thien-Vu in pure shock, his face just dripping with provocation and mockery. He just framed me. Everyone in the room is whispering, completely convinced I'm only making excuses now that my cover's blown. I glance over at Duan Tulan standing right there. She looks absolutely furious. Out of habit, I try explaining myself to her, telling her I really didn't wreck his stuff. He is completely framing me, and you know that, right? But no matter what I say, with the security footage right there as undeniable proof, every single explanation just sounds totally pathetic. Kai Thien-Vu pushes even harder, faking this incredibly pitiful wronged look as he lowers his head. Swin, I know you hate me, but you really shouldn't have done this. The new tech is about to be deployed. We signed the agreement with the client ages ago, so why would you intentionally sabotage it right now of all times? I get it. You've been exactly like this since we were kids. I just thought that over the years you might have actually changed. Just a few words from Kai Thien-Vu, and the whole situation twists even further against me. Then, with the absolute worst timing, the secretary's voice rings out. Director Kai, the client just called in. They're canceling the partnership completely. I stare at Kai Thien-Vu in total disbelief. To frame me, he's actually willing to tank a massive contract? Before I can even process it, Duan Tulan kicks me hard right in the knee. I gasp in pain, instantly collapsing, landing squarely on my knees right in front of Kai Thien-Vu. I really never expected you to be someone so unbelievably petty and vicious. I brought you out here because I honestly respected your skills, and yet you still managed to pull something this disgusting?
Even Doan Tu Lan, the woman who shared my bed for 10 whole years, chooses to stand entirely on the opposite side.
Kai Thien Vu is obviously playing dumb on purpose. That much is clear. But Doan Tu Lan, I firmly believed she truly understood my character. For so many years, I worked in complete silence just to protect our relationship, handing every last shred of glory right over to her.
Looking at her absolutely ice-cold expression right now, I know that even if I talk until my throat bleeds, she still won't believe a single word.
So I just pull out my phone and dial the police, desperately trying to clear my own name the only way left.
Doan Tu Lan snatches my phone right out of my hand and hangs up. "You're an absolute lunatic," she screams at me, before turning, hooking her arm through Kai Thien Vu's and walking away.
Seeing the boss storm off, everyone else figures the show is over and awkwardly shuffles back to work. The entire hall instantly empties out, leaving just me and my completely shattered pride standing there alone.
I take a deep breath, hurry back to the house, and start packing up my bags. I was planning to hand in my resignation, but Doan Tu Lan actually beat me to the punch.
Just stay home and take a good hard look at yourself. Don't bother coming to work until you've reflected.
Sure enough, Doan Tu Lan still can't let go of my research results. I just calmly take a screenshot of the electronic divorce agreement and send it straight to her. Director Doan, it's better if we just don't see each other ever again. I wish you and Kai Thien Vu all the happiness.
No need to invite me to the wedding, but I'll send a gift. Consider it my payment for finally escaping this absolute disaster. The second that message sends, Doan Tu Lan completely loses her mind. You know what's coming. She immediately starts bombing my phone with frantic calls and texts.
Staring at Doan Tu Lan's 30-second missed call, I keep a completely straight face and just block her number directly.
The very next second, another text pushes through. "Liek Swen, you forged that signature. When did I ever say I wanted a divorce?"
Kai Thien Vu and I are completely innocent. Stop slandering us right now. If you really go through with this, you'll regret it when it's too late.
I do not care. I just calmly reply with those 4 little words and flip my phone straight into airplane mode. Walking out of that house with my suitcase in hand, I feel like I finally come back to life. I wasted my entire youth on Doan Tu Lan. My son's tragedy was caused entirely by her own hands, yet I was stupid enough to place my hopes of finding him back on her shoulders.
In the end, I'm left with absolutely nothing. Lost my boy, lost my reputation, and didn't even have my own dignity left. I still remember the afternoon I decided to step down. Doan Tu Lan's biggest rival, Ha Nak, came looking for me. Lei Suyen, doing this just isn't worth it.
With your massive talent, you should really just come work for me. I can guarantee you'll be living in pure luxury.
But grief over my son blinded me, leaving me foolishly waiting for Doan Tu Lan to change. Hauling my bags into my newly rented apartment, I finally turn off airplane mode.
Besides 99 frantic texts from Doan Tu Lan, I also catch a very specific notification on my timeline. It's a post from her.
She and Kai Thien Vu are hugging each other tight on a Ferris wheel, both wearing matching outfits, which is so obviously intentional. Looking closer, you can even see matching couple rings on their fingers in the photo. They're feeding each other cookies, pointing at fireworks, laughing out loud, looking unbelievably sweet together.
Anyone looking at this would instantly assume they're a happy couple. You really can't make this audacity up.
The comments are flooded with people wishing them a long, happy life together. And Kai Thien Vu doesn't explain a thing. Instead, he's actually replying and thanking every single person.
Not just that, he even makes sure to pin a little caption underneath it, saying it's a blessing disguised as a disaster.
Not only did they get rid of a filthy rat, but he also got invited out by Director Doan. Less than a few seconds later, Doan Tu Lan hits like.
If this were the old me, I'd definitely be screaming and hunting Doan Tu Lan down for an explanation. But right now, I honestly just do not care anymore.
He deletes Doan Tu Lan and Kai Thien Vu from his friends list, then he crashes onto the huge bed inside his apartment.
Staring at the bright sunlight outside the window, he honestly feels like he hasn't truly lived like this in ages. He slowly pulls out his wallet. Right inside sits that exact photo of Doan Tu Lan and Kai Thien Vu kissing at the medical Nobel Prize ceremony. He purposely puts it in the most obvious spot.
He uses this picture as a constant, painful reminder that Doan Tu Lan's heart changed a long, long time ago. She just isn't someone worth giving his heart to anymore. He really should have realized this harsh truth way sooner. Later that afternoon, Hung-ok gives him a call.
Le Suen, you just rest up. I already had my staff set up your new office. We are just waiting for you to come in and start working. Even though he walked the wrong path for a few years, luckily he is finally heading in the right direction now.
Don't worry, I won't let your trust down. I see absolutely everything clearly now. He answers Han-ok with a completely calm and steady tone of voice.
So many messages. Staring at his phone, he decisively snaps his SIM card in half.
It feels like personally severing the long connection between him and Duan Tulan. The very next day, he gets a new SIM card and officially starts his work. Han-ok drops by his office for tea, chatting with him about future work plans. Suddenly, a totally strange number calls his phone. It is actually Duan Tulan.
She is being incredibly persistent again. Le Suen, where did you go? Why did you pack all your things? Don't you want to come back to the clinic?
Come out here right now. Pure silence. He feels totally speechless and immediately hangs up.
Surprisingly, Han-ok, sitting right across from him, uses her own phone to call Duan Tulan. I already told you, you don't deserve to talk to me. You are just a defeated loser in my hands.
Boom. Duan Tulan's incredibly shrill voice instantly blasts right through the speaker.
Han-ok isn't annoyed at all. Instead, she drags out a laugh and says, "Our Le Suyen is right here with me. Your ex-husband won't be returning anytime soon."
Right now, he is actually our technical department head, and I really cannot bear to let him go. Duan Tulan is left totally stunned by Han-ok's bold words, stammering and completely unable to speak.
Han-ok, you despicable little villain. Did you somehow threaten and force Le Suen into this? You absolute jerk.
Hearing Duan Tulan say that, Han-ok instantly laughs so hard she cannot even form a word. That is right. Even an outsider like Han-ok can easily see through Duan Tulan's completely fake, two-faced nature.
Watch this. He grabs the phone from Han-ok, his tone turning freezing cold.
You already fired me, so are you really not allowing me to find another job? Duan Tulan instantly screams back with a shrill pitch, saying that is impossible. Are you completely out of your mind?
I am your wife. Even up until this exact moment, Duan Tulan still naively thinks she currently holds a completely irreplaceable spot in his heart.
But the harsh truth is, his heart was already deeply broken by her time and time again. He takes a really deep breath, trying hard to stay calm enough to talk to her. Without me around, you are clearly still living very well.
Boss Doan does not need to worry at all. He is about to hang up. Suddenly, Duan Tulan's voice quickly echoes out once again.
I know you are mad about me and Kai Thien Vu. Let me be straight with you. I purposely posted that on my friend's feed just so you would see it.
But why on earth are you so calm about this? Why did you not even text me? The corners of his mouth twitch up into a really bitter smile.
Turns out, Duan Tulan knew absolutely everything. She knew he cared about Kai Thien Vu's presence, and she knew exactly how to make him furious.
But back then, she happily watched him go crazy without a single ounce of regret. Now she wants to use this exact same trick to force him to back down first.
But he is definitely not that incredibly naive young guy anymore. He has finally realized absolutely everything after enduring all of her brutal, crushing emotional blows.
Do you feel that tension? He casually answers her desperate question. Whatever can be kept is truly mine.
Whatever cannot be kept, I will never force it to stay. Besides, Boss Duan is already a completely free woman now.
Whatever happens between you and Boss Kai has absolutely nothing to do with me anymore. He suppresses a wave of disgust to finish these sentences, then immediately hangs up the phone.
Han-ok looks at him, nodding her head non-stop. You really have terrible luck. Meeting someone so toxic when you were young. Isn't she just a total absolute psycho?
Regardless of everything, whatever she owes you, the heavens will definitely claim it back on your behalf. Treating her like that is honestly way too merciful of you. He just smiles faintly at Han-ok and smoothly changes the subject, formally introducing his proud research results to her instead. Han-ok was actually his old college classmate. Even though they rarely interacted back then, he always knew she was a genuinely good, solid person.
Despite being born into a prestigious medical family, she never relied on any resources from her parents, always working incredibly hard to build her own career completely from scratch. She built her very own hospital at a remarkably young age. Exactly because of this, she and Don Toulon, who desperately wants to be famous everywhere, became bitter rivals. Both of them really want to secure that major medical patent before the other.
Ha-Nuk pats her chest, boldly guaranteeing she will provide enough research funding for him. After everything is settled, she decides to take him on a tour of the hospital.
Hangof's hospital is managed with very strict discipline, and the genuine care shown to her staff is also incredibly thoughtful.
From the nurses to the doctors, every single person is smiling brightly. Compared to Don Toulon's private clinic, where people only know how to constantly compete just for the sake of competing, this hospital is countless times better. Not only that, Hangok also pays him a super high salary. Remember back at Don Toulon's clinic? She always thought that since he was her husband, he should just work for her completely free for a whole year. She finally handed me just a little pocket money, barely enough to scrape by on basic living expenses.
The Swin, this is exactly what you've always deserved, Hangok tells me, giving my shoulder an approving pat. I just nod, smiling bitterly. Back when I first graduated from college, I clearly had some really solid job offers lined up, but because I was so blindly in love, I threw it all away, making a single choice I'll deeply regret for the rest of my life. After checking out the hospital, I quickly jumped right into their team building events, even joining the Saturday night cycling crew to clear my head.
Finishing that long ride, completely exhausted and drenched in sweat, my heart actually felt this rare, refreshing lightness. Someone chimes in, "Brother Swen, it's so great getting to work with you now. You really are a huge senior to us."
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine it, another says. I heard you and Sister Hai used to be classmates.
Senior, please keep looking out for all of us from now on. Hearing all those genuinely kind words going back and forth really moved me. I immediately decided to treat the whole group to some drinks.
I grabbed a bunch of drinks and headed straight for the checkout counter. But then, a very familiar voice suddenly rang out behind me.
Grab some bread too. I'll pay for it. It's Don Toulon. Moving incredibly fast, she shoves a loaf into my bag and covers the bill.
Ashwin, you get low blood sugar so easily. Eating a piece of bread is much better. She frowns at me, her eyes showing this deep worry that she can't even hide.
You know your body isn't well, yet you still tag along with them, completely ignoring your own health. Don Toulon says this while habitually reaching out, trying to wipe the sweat off my forehead. Startled by her sudden move, I quickly take a step back, making sure to keep my distance. No need for that. Don Toulon gives a helpless smile. You know low blood sugar can hit you out of nowhere. What if you actually collapse on your way back? Let me just take you home. Seeing that incredibly sincere look on her face, I just stand there, completely dazed for a second.
This woman, who once harshly blamed me for being hospitalized over low sugar, is suddenly acting worried about my safety. The exact same person who used to treat my genuine sincerity like absolute trash now actively runs right up to me, practically begging for my forgiveness. You're probably as confused as I am, right? Because the two of us have zero relationship left. Go find your precious Kai Tianwu. I firmly swat away her reaching hand. Don Toulon's expression instantly changes, dropping right back into that familiar, disgusted glare she always gave me.
Li Swin, I am giving you a chance to step down right now. Don't push things to a point where they become completely irreversible. I just shoot her a pretty cold glance, turning around to carry my stuff out. I guess my pathetic behavior in the past is just too deeply ingrained.
Even now, Don Toulon still genuinely thinks I'm just throwing a little tantrum. She really overestimates how much space she takes up in my heart.
Seeing me actually trying to leave, Don Toulon realizes her attitude is off and instantly switches back to being all soft and incredibly gentle.
Aswen, I know you're angry, but Ki Tianwu and I really have nothing going on.
That photo on the Ferris wheel?
I took it on purpose. At the time, I just wanted to make you jealous. We are completely innocent.
Don Toulon keeps trying to justify herself, but I'm not an idiot. I'm a grown man with a perfectly normal ability to think things through. I know exactly how shady she and Kai Tianwu used to be. That unconditional care and clear favoritism she always gave him, I saw every single bit of it with my own two eyes.
All that tenderness and inner warmth that should have belonged to me, She handed it all over to Kai Tianwu.
Despite all that, she somehow still thinks it's completely justified. She's caught up in her own delusion, but as an outsider now, I see it perfectly clearly.
I answer her with absolute seriousness. We are already divorced. You and I have zero relationship left at this point.
Impossible. I don't agree to any divorce. Duan Tulan crazily grabs my collar, physically forcing me to stand there and face her.
Looking right into her eyes, I can see this unprecedented seriousness and iron determination. Lei Suyen, I will never leave you. You can only divorce me if I actually die. Absolute crazy person. I immediately break free from her grip, quickly hand out the drinks to my colleagues, and hurry straight home. That night, I suffered through one nightmare after another, constantly dreaming that I had somehow returned to Duan Tulan's side once again. Those dreams felt incredibly real. So real, they left me waking up in cold sweats.
After a quick routine, I opened my car door to head out. And honestly, you won't believe this. Duan Tulan is blocking the front, still refusing to let go, just relentlessly stalking me.
A huge wave of frustration suddenly flares up in my chest. I honk the horn continuously, but Duan Tulan stubbornly refuses to move an inch.
I have no choice but to roll down the window and yell, "I still have to get to work. Stop blocking the car." Before I even finish, she immediately presses herself against the glass.
She just stares right at me, making my scalp tingle with absolute dread. Suyen, come back home with me.
The fortune teller told me our next child will absolutely be our son reincarnated, coming back to us. A son?
Duan Tulan's words instantly strike the absolute softest spot in my heart. But the thing is, everything is just way too late now.
Of course, I desperately want to welcome my son back, but I refuse to let him grow up in a completely toxic, loveless environment. I decisively dialed the building manager. "There's someone causing a huge disturbance in the parking lot right now. Please, get down here quickly." Only then does Duan Tulan finally back away from the window. She glares at me with pure venom, spitting out every word. "Lei Suyen, I refuse to believe you can really let go of our son." I just act like I didn't hear a single thing. Getting zero reaction from me, she realizes it's completely pointless and storms off, having already wasted half my day.
Pushing down the heavy sadness in my chest, I give Hangok a call.
I knew Duan Tulan wouldn't just let you go that easily. If she ever comes around to bother you again in the future, you just call me right away.
Women dealing with women is pretty simple, right? I will definitely help you handle her. I just give a faint smile, my voice sounding completely helpless. Let it go. You already said she has real issues. If you purposefully go out and argue with her, who knows, she might actually start stalking you instead. On the other end of the line, Hanok suddenly gets serious. So what? I am not afraid of her. I laugh a little without denying it, then use work as an excuse to hang up. Just 2 days after I joined the company, Hanok throws this massive, flashy press conference just for me. My picture gets plastered on the front page of every newspaper. She even continuously buys up trending social media spots to build up my reputation. Thinking back to those dark days of living completely in the shadows under Duan Tulan, I feel even more emotional. Driven by pure jealousy, Ki Tianwu immediately buys a huge army of online trolls to spread nasty rumors about me. But Hanok is no pushover either. She instantly deploys her top-tier public relations team to step in and help me out. Not only does she completely reverse the public opinion, but she also investigates right to Ki Tianwu. Only then does he finally decide to stay completely silent. Shortly after I joined the company, Hanok manages to snag a truly massive project for me. It is the exact same project Ki Tianwu purposely lost just to frame me. Hanok instantly gets worried. The Tianqi group definitely wants to snatch this project back too. She suggests maybe I shouldn't show my face, but I have completely thought it through now. Absolutely nothing can break me anymore. Carrying a totally calm mindset, I head straight to the agreed meeting location.
Who would have thought? Getting out, I see Ki Tianwu.
Ki Tianwu wears that incredibly fake smile of his, dressed in a perfectly neat suit, stepping right up to me. Lei Suyen, do you still have the nerve to show up here?
If you had not ruined my project, would it even be your turn? You really are a plague. I seriously have no idea what A-Lan ever saw in you back in the day. Facing Ki Tianwu and his sarcastic remarks, Hanok cannot hold back and wants to step up to argue,
But I quickly pull her back. I do not get angry, just smile, looking right at Ki Tianwu. What is the truth?
I think CEO Qi understands it way better than I do, right? I, Lei Swen, have always lived an honest, upright life, unlike you, CEO Qi.
You only do pretty filthy, underhanded things.
Things that can never see the light of day. Taking the insurance money exchanged for a person's very life to open your company is bad enough, yet you still want to ruin someone's family. Aren't you afraid of karma?
Hitting right at his sore spot, Ki Tianwu instantly flies into an embarrassed rage, trying to grab my collar, but I easily dodge him. How much of a failure must you be that even your own wife refuses to acknowledge your existence? If I were you, I would have banged my head and vanished for good. Your son having a tragic fate is on him. What does that have to do with me? Ki Tianwu shakes all over from my taunts. This exact reaction of his was completely within my expectations. I just give a faint smile and turn around to walk into the meeting room. I still have important work to do. The collaboration gets settled super fast. Over these years, even though I immersed myself deeply in research, communicating very little with others, luckily my professional technical skills remained incredibly solid, and ultimately the partners still fully recognized my value. Hotmop is so incredibly happy she cannot even close her mouth, continuously telling me all about her massive, grand ambitions for the future. Halfway through talking, she suddenly gets tense and says, I see the Thienkiel group really wants to snatch this project back too. Are you completely sure about this? As a close friend who grew up with Ki Tianwu since childhood, how could I not understand his true capabilities? Ki Tianwu used to just be a pretty unnoticeable follower, trailing right beside me. Very average family background, and his brain honestly did not seem all that smart either. Later, when my son tragically passed away, Ki Tianwu and his parents took turns visiting my house, begging to borrow my boy's insurance money to start his business. Can you believe that audacity? I had literally just lost my little boy. Out of respect for my parents, I handed him the money. He relied on those exact funds and my ongoing support to finally open up his company. Almost every single major or minor task inside that company, he has almost never actually handled them himself. He is basically just a CEO in name only for that company, absolutely nothing more. But the very next day, a post about me climbs right up the hot search rankings. The malicious post heavily details how I lacked research results for years and falsely claims I caused my son's tragic end due to gambling, heavy drinking, and running around with women. This time, Ki Tianwu does not choose to stay anonymous, but directly uses his own personal social media account to publish the post. In an instant, I become a street rat, cursed at by absolutely everyone on the internet. Hang the kind person who hired me, also gets dragged and cursed at. To avoid getting the whole company implicated because of me, I go find Ki Tianwu. Ki Tianwu sits in his office, looking down at me from above. His eyes are completely full of heavy mockery and arrogance. Just give up on this collaboration opportunity right now. The partners will absolutely never risk working with someone as notoriously scandalous as you are. But watch this. Ki Tianwu leisurely sips his red wine, acting as if he completely predicted I would have to bow down and compromise. But unexpectedly, I just let out a cold scoff, and Ki Tianwu immediately shows clear panic. Everything you said in that post is actually not wrong. I really haven't had any written achievements in years, but think about it. Duan Thulan travels the world with you every single day, so where would she even find the time to do actual medical research? Hearing that, Ki Tianwu completely freezes up. Clearly, Duan Thulan hasn't told him about this yet. And after all, she is still Tiao Hui's mother. I tell him I never wanted to completely ruin her reputation in the first place. As I speak, I slowly pull a few document folders from my briefcase. The registered patent holder on every single one of these papers is me. Ki Tianwu flips through documents faster and faster, his face visibly turning pale right before my eyes. Impossible! This is absolutely impossible! Ki Tianwu mutters under his breath, desperately trying to deny the harsh truth. Right now, he and Duan Thulan are basically tied to the exact same sinking ship. They rise together and they fall together. If he just lets me announce this, his company goes down right alongside Duan Thulan. Then, Ki Tianwu drops to his knees right in front of me, looking exactly like he did all those years ago.
When he came begging for my son's insurance money, he pleads with me. Please, Axwen, for the sake of our old brotherhood, please do not expose Duan Thulan, he says, promising to clear everything up immediately. It is all his fault.
Greed just blinded him completely for a moment. I take my time packing all the documents back into my briefcase, leaving him with one cold sentence before walking right out of that office. A word once spoken can never be taken back.
The exact moment I step out of that office, I can clearly hear Qi Tianwu screaming in total helplessness. His public correction comes out incredibly fast, so it doesn't affect the project signing at all.
Right after the signing wraps up, Ha-Nok takes me out to celebrate.
Because everyone at the company was so supportive, I decide to secretly pay the bill to thank them. But who could have guessed? The second I walk out the door, I bump straight into Duan Thulan.
She is pulling Qi Tianwu along, who clearly looks super reluctant, just waiting outside the entrance.
I try to leave quickly, but Duan Thulan grabs me tight. Aswin, she says, we came here to apologize to you. Now check out this pathetic display. Following her order, Qi Tianwu instantly drops to his knees before me, making everyone around us turn to stare. I tell him I am a man of my word. Since he followed the agreement, I won't release those documents. Saying that, I turn around, fully ready to walk away.
But Duan Thulan catches my arm in time. Lei Swin, I miss you. Hearing that, I actually can't help but stop in my tracks.
For so many years, Duan Thulan always put her reputation above absolutely everything else. To protect her own image, she would literally do whatever it takes.
If she didn't care so much, she wouldn't have delayed her retirement just to maintain her long-term fame.
And yet, what she just said is completely outside my expectations. She gently tugs on my hand, whispering softly. Aswen, she says, I already canceled my contract with the Yankee company.
From now on, Qi Tianwu and I have absolutely no ties left. Can you please just give me one more chance?
I shared a bed with Duan Thulan for 10 whole years, so how could I possibly fail to recognize the genuine sincerity in her voice right now?
But my heart just doesn't feel that old romantic flutter anymore. Instead, all I feel right now is absolute crushing dread.
That is right. Duan Thulan is no longer that innocent girl from back then, and I definitely shouldn't repeat the exact same mistakes again. A shattered mirror can never be put back together. I tell her I have my own life now, and I hope she takes good care of herself.
I forcefully yank my hand away from hers, quickly turning my back to leave. This time, her voice trembles even harder, completely breaking into heavy sobs.
Aswin, you were just saying this out of anger, right? You can't bear to actually leave me, right? You might want to abandon me, but you could never abandon our son, right? I miss our boy too. I swear to you, this time I will absolutely bring him back to us.
Aswin, I wronged you so badly. You can blame me however you want, but I am truly, deeply sorry for everything.
Please come back to me so we can live our happy life as a family of 3 again, okay? A happy family of 3?
This is the exact scene I used to dream about countless times. Unfortunately, my love has already been completely drained away by her endless, suffocating coldness.
I will never, ever forget the image of my son collapsing in absolute agony.
Are you feeling the heavy irony here? I won't forget her and Qi Tianwu standing united, throwing cruel mocks at me. My son and I lost our place in her heart a long time ago.
And the fact that she is begging so pitifully right now merely stems from her own selfish fear of being cut off entirely.
I turn back to look at Duan Thulan with a stare so bitterly cold, it makes her shudder uncontrollably and look away from me. You personally caused me a lifetime of misery. So why, even now, do you still refuse to just let me go?
Duan Thulan grips my clothes so tightly, I literally can't move. Asuen, she cries, it's all my fault. Everything is my fault.
I was temporarily blinded by my own greed. I will absolutely change my ways. I simply cannot be without you.
I stay quiet, suddenly using my strength to shove Duan Thulan hard to the side. Without even caring about the pain, she scrambles up to chase after me. But a figure blocks the path between me and Duan Thulan. It is Ha-Nok. She heard the loud commotion in the hallway and ran out.
Aswin already told you he doesn't want to see you, so why are you sticking to him like a desperate leech? Believe it or not, I will sue you for slander.
Right now, Duan Dulan's hair is a total mess, making her look like an actual maniac. "Hot knock, get out of here," she screams. "You trash. What gives you the right to call him Aswen?"
He is my husband, you homewrecker. How dare you seduce him? Duan Thulan spits out some seriously nasty words.
I frown and try to stop her, but Hangok holds me back. She looks totally calm. Your husband? I thought you two already got divorced.
Haven't you made him suffer enough all these long years? If you actually love him, you really need to let him go right now. And what is this nonsense about me stealing your husband? You never valued his real talent, just worked him to the bone for years. We are nothing alike.
She is definitely a worthy rival after all these years. Hang Up's sharp words instantly hit Duan Thulan right where it hurts the most. She jumps straight up off the ground and lunges right at Hanok with her claws totally bared. Panic hits me hard. I quickly pull Hanok behind my back, and Duan Thulan's hand ends up scratching my neck. Missing her target, Duan Thulan completely loses it and screams out,
Lei Suyen, I am your wife. You refuse to even help me.
"Instead, you protect this vicious woman. Do you really not care about our years of history?" I coldly wipe the blood off my face and tell her again, "You are not my wife anymore. You and I are just total strangers now, with absolutely zero connection. And she is my boss. I only did that to stop a crazy person from actually hurting her." Duan Thulan just stares at me in shock, finally noticing the fresh bleeding wound on my face. All the strength suddenly drains right out of Duan Thulan. She completely collapses onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I can never do anything right," she cries. "I always hurt you. It is all my fault." I honestly do not care anymore, so I just pull Hangok straight into the private room. But right behind me, I can still hear Duan Thulan screaming loudly.
Lei Suyen, I will always love you. I will bring our son back, and then you will definitely change your mind, right? I collapse into a chair inside the room, completely unable to calm down for a very long time.
Duan Thulan once told me, "You love me, not just the mother of Tiểu Huy." From that day on, I actually live an incredibly rare and peaceful life. It is like Duan Thulan just evaporated from the world, vanishing without a single trace.
Fast forward a bit and things take a wild turn. Much later, I actually spot Duan Thulan and Ki Thien Vu on the daily news. She seriously never gave up on bringing our son back.
So she tracked down the exact embryo we securely stored at the hospital years ago, and somehow successfully implanted it right into her own body.
She is completely delusional, thinking another son could actually fix things between us. But since she is much older now, the high-risk pregnancy makes the growing baby extremely unstable. That massive disappearance of hers was just to safely hide away and rest for the pregnancy. On the flip side, Ki Thien Vu loses absolutely everything. After Duan Thulan broke her contract with Tianqi Group, all his major partners canceled their deals one by one.
Ki Thien Vu is already terrible at business, so within just a few days, he takes massive losses and goes completely bankrupt. Fate works in pretty clever ways. Ki Thien Vu runs right into the pregnant Duan Thulan, and he instantly blames all his miserable life failures entirely on her. He secretly stalks Duan Thulan all the way home. Then, passing through a narrow, dark alley, he brutally stabs her multiple times with a knife. By the time Duan Thulan reaches the hospital, she is barely breathing at all. Right before dying, she desperately holds on, waiting for the police. But what she does next is definitely not to identify her own killer. But here is the most shocking twist of all. She actually cries and confesses to the cops that all her major research achievements were entirely my work. The police camera ends up recording the very last moments of her entire life. In the footage, Duan Thulan completely loses all her old, bright radiance.
Her face is totally pale from massive blood loss, looking thin as paper. She just keeps endlessly apologizing, saying sorry to me and sorry to our son.
Watching this long overdue apology from Duan Thulan, my heart honestly feels absolutely nothing at all. I really do not need her sorry excuses, and our son passed away long ago, so he will probably never hear his mother apologize anyway. In the final few seconds of her tragic life, Duan Thulan weakly waves at the security camera.
Asian, I truly wish you a happy life.
After Duan Tulan dies, the police finally arrest Keith Yan-woo. This whole messy story seems practically over. My life is finally welcoming a bright new dawn.
I honestly thought I would just keep enjoying my life in total quiet peace.
But completely unexpectedly, on my late son's birthday, I hear a baby crying right on the street corner. It is a tiny newborn boy, just a few days old. I carefully hold the little baby close to my chest and pull back his soft blanket. Right there, I see an incredibly familiar birthmark on the baby's tiny arm.
My son has returned. Turns out the fortune teller was right. My boy could not bear to leave me. He came right back to find me.
I hug my son in pure joy, holding on to the precious treasure I lost and finally found again, stepping forward into a much brighter tomorrow.